Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. We are yet at another Friday, and I'm sitting alongside Bobbi and Buddy, and we are excited to be finishing up on our Part 3, moving in and moving out of the United States of America. It is a great place we live, isn't it?
It is.
Fabulous. It's the best. And anyone who doesn't like it, just leave. How's that?
So that's why some of the people are moving out. I just thought about that. Bobby's get out of here if you don't like it.
If you don't like go try living in some of these other countries see how you like it.
We have it pretty darn good, for
we
sure.
Sure do.
For sure. All right, so you don't know what you don't know. I know that's really an educated comment, but it is. It's true. So we're going to talk a little bit about Part 3, the Moving In and Moving Out series. I know why this is just another multi-series. I mean, we do a lot of these. You'll find that, two interesting trend lines in a bigger picture of the international as our real estate businesses are coming. The segment is going to be called You Don't Know What You Don't Know. That's a good one because that could cover just about anything.
Well, it's being aware. Absolutely. Yeah. But just being, you until you don't know what you don't know, because if it's not in your brain, if it's not on your radar, then you have no idea. You're clueless.
Right. That kind of sounds like a who's the what's his name, Yogi Berra, that comes up with all the funny.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
All the
beautiful.
Yeah, right. Beautiful that kind of sounds like Yogi Berra thing.
And Mike Cobb uses this phrase to say, do your homework. Yeah. That's what it's meant to be before you're buying offshore. You should do it buying here.
Right.
How many people don't do their homework? But offshore, it's even more critical because you can make a huge, huge error. And you never buy after several margaritas, guys. Margaritaville.
Oh, shoot.
And there is never a deal that's so great, that's so great that it cannot be replicated later. It's really, really, truly true. And Mike keeps reiterating that over and over again. So, Buddy, get us started. Talk about his fabulous consumer resource guide, because it is terrific.
Yeah, it is terrific. So it's really meant to be about buying anywhere overseas. He's got a great checklist in the beginning that talks about, are you really ready to do that? Because you may think so. You better go through and understand. It helps you to kind of pinpoint the things you better be thinking about or willing to sort of be comfortable with, or you're going to have a horrible time when you move overseas, because there's nothing quite like America around the planet. So this beautiful 45-page booklet gives you tons of information about how and the what and the where, and be careful, buyer beware. The list goes on. In fact, we're going to get into some of that. I think it's also very important for the senior community where they're retiring. You can't make a bad economic decision that late in life and recover from it.
No, it's very true. Very true. So one of my favorite parts of Mike Cobb's consumer booklet is the 15 critical must-ask questions when buying overseas. I especially like the part 1, buy what you see is really important in making a great decision. Well, I know that sounds obvious, but it's so true. Again, we've mentioned this before. Make sure you do your due diligence and don't be really, I guess, coerced into some of these get rich quick or buy it now or you're going to lose out. Just, get educated and stay smart.
Really, really look closely.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that part 1, buy what you see. And that's because they'll promise you, well, it's coming. Right. Don't you love that? It's coming. It's just around the corner. Yep. That's our next phase. But buy what you see. Is there year-round access to the property? We take roads for granted, although they're horrible in California. I mean, for a state that gets no snow, no sleet, Well, we do up the north, but here in the Bay Area, I've never seen roads so bad. They're just horrible. But when you go to these other countries, such as Central America, how long is it going to take you to get to the airport, to go shopping, to get around? During dry season, even though they're awful, it may be a really short ride. But during rainy season, they showed slides where they were rivers. Joe, they turned into rivers, muddy rivers, right?
Yeah. You couldn't get across them.
And is there infrastructure? Because they're just building these. And check with the planners, because you don't know, and I'm not going to take your parts, but you just don't know what you don't know, right? So even to water pressure, Joe, he was talking about the fact that you look underneath the sink.
Right.
Don't just say, oh, they have hot water, because in the U.S. we have hot water. See, we take our United States brains where we have everything. Remember, we're all spoiled rotten.
Right. And lots of laws protecting everything.
Lots of laws protecting everything. And you go to somewhere where it's kind of the Wild West. And he said that, the Wild, Wild West. But there's such an upside for appreciation and for values growing and all. And it's less expensive, so that's the trade-off. That's basically your trade. And the medical facilities. But what about those? I mean,
so I'm actually going to, the medical facilities are critical. Mike has actually put in a clinic in his Nicaragua property.
Oh, really?
That's going to serve not only his residents in that beautiful property, but the local community as well.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
That's the right kind of thinking, I think.
Like that.
That's kind of thinking ahead. But that really brings me to knowing what you don't know. You really need to know about the developer. I mean, really know about the developer.
Yep.
The reality of it is you need to check their financials, make sure that they're a stable and successful organization. I always believe in the check with the people that have already bought in. Make sure that you understand that they're happy campers.
Right.
And Bobby mentioned the infrastructure. One of the other things is, what kind of standards do they build to? Bobby mentioned the scenario, no hot water, even though there was a hot water faucet in this beautiful Cabo property. It was hooked to the cold water. But he showed us a picture where everything came in off cold water. Well, you can't fix that. After a house is built, that might be hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and pipe the hot water to that location. Another infrastructure issue that isn't pretty is, what does the sewer system look like? If there isn't one, can get very messy in the rainy season. So infrastructure is really critical, and do the developers really know the right things to do in that infrastructure? So you got to check out that developer and check them out thoroughly.
And if they won't hand it over, if they won't give you their financials, walk away.
Flag.
Walk away.
Red flag. I call a lot of this window dressing. Many aspects of what you do, be careful what you guys mentioned a little earlier, what you see, right?
Yeah.
You got to lift, check under the hood, so to speak?
Yeah, check under the hood. Or in the case of that sink we were talking about, open the doors underneath the sink and see two water leads coming off cold and no hot input into that part of the building. That's scary stuff.
You, too, for $150,000, can have cold showers for the rest of your duration.
And Joe's got one coming up about community. I think that's kind of...
Yeah, so there's a couple of them. Is there a building requirement of any kind, really, to think about, right? What kind of construction or design standards are in place and are enforceable? There's a lot of this stuff we take for granted in the United States, or because we're used to it, but, these are really, really important when you look into those details. Zoning, it's almost in Latin America, of course, unless the developer has implemented the CCR. So your neighbor could do what they want, empty lots on the beach. A lot of this stuff, I guess in general, when I read through this, the CC&Rs, right? Bobby, you mentioned a minute ago, make sure you get your hands on them. If someone tells you they're not available, or if someone says, oh, well, we got to update them. These are all red flags and things to just make sure that you do. Make sure you get this information.
Well, you've got, they have amenities, but is it for you, just you, or can you rent the place out and have the renters or the visitors use them as well? And you build yourself a beautiful 3,000 square foot house on the beach, and then 2 months later somebody opens a pig farm down the street. Because it's not zoned like we are here.
Yeah, that's a real be careful.
It is be careful.
That's why you probably want to look into a community and look at all the elements of a CC&Rs.
And if they don't have those, again, run.
And the interesting thing, too, I'll say, Buddy, you mentioned a few minutes ago, I will say one thing, and not to make people more nervous, but it's true. The due diligence to ask people that have lived there for a while. If it's a development that's already been in existence for, here's the reason why. You could read through all these CC&Rs, right? You could have all in writing.
Yeah. But what really
enforce
happened?
Them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't enforce it.
Yeah.
I live in a community they don't enforce two of the biggest rules on the books.
Yeah, I mean you're right here in the beautiful U.S. of A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is another thing to be careful about, and you mentioned it earlier. Talk to people that live in the communities that have experienced it. You can learn a lot.
Well, Mike said, if you really think you want to move there, come down for 2 months.
Right.
Just rent.
Makes
Rent.
sense.
Because he said, you may rent in a neighborhood over here on the left side of the page and find out that after you've lived there for a while, Jill, like the 3 months, and you kind of get an immersion there, that they live down at the bottom right side of the island or the area that you like. And so every time you want to visit them, you're going to have to use these roads that are really not the kind of roads that we still have here.
Yeah.
They're kind of dirt paths.
There's a lot here. I mean, even in you could go on and on. I know there's a bunch of lists that we have here, but the fee structures and, will the fees, what kind of fees are you paying? Will they go up? What's the likelihood? Who has control of those? Can they be changed at any given time, right?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, let's face it. Again, just because you have something in writing, what prohibits someone from walking up to you one day if you're a homeowner and dropping a new set of CC&Rs on you? Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. we didn't lock the earlier set.
So these are the things we got to keep in mind. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about moving in and moving out in the USA Part 3. We'll be back with you in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Working and living in a global world often means you need competence, intelligence, and connectivity that can assist you to optimize results everywhere in your life. This is true in business, your lifestyle, and your living environments. When this means changes in your property requirements, Bobbi Decker and her team, working with the Sotheby's International Realty Network, can assist in optimizing your results. If you have residential real estate requirements in the San Francisco Bay Area or around the world, contact Bobbi. If the property needs are not in her area of expertise locally, she will vet the Sotheby's Realty agents in the appropriate area of the globe where you need expert assistance. For more information or assistance, contact Bobbi at 650-346-5352. Visit her website at www.bobbidecker.com or email bobby.decker@sotheby'srealty.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series, as we continue our topic today. It is Friday. I'm sitting alongside Bobbi and Buddy, moving in and moving out of the great US of A, Part 3. And you don't know what you don't know. That's our topic today. We're talking about, again, sharing statistics, data, hoping to educate you, make you a more wise consumer, that when you get ready to make your choices, we'll say this on a regular basis, educate yourself, inform yourself, so that when you get ready to make your choices on who to work with, that would be my take, you guys, is that, when you make a decision to who to work with, hopefully you make that choice based on this data, this information, because this is an expensive venture, whether you're buying here, overseas, whether you're any of this stuff. Make sure you have the right team of people.
Totally.
You do.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And so many, it amazed me moving out of the business world, the high-tech world, moving into the real estate arena and watching people make decisions on who they're going to work with. Like, it's the most important asset they may own. And Betty Lou's cousin said Frank, who lives over 10 towns over, is the right guy to help you.
Isn't it amazing?
Frank probably doesn't know diddly about the town you're in. And, by the way, I looked up his information. He hasn't sold anything in the last 10 months.
Well, you just said something that struck me, and we've talked about it before. Isn't it amazing how real estate it's so expensive. People make huge decisions. There's a lot of money in it. We know it, right? We're talking about these numbers in the billions. But yet, in so many cases, a lot of us don't treat it like a business.
No. Absolutely.
Right?
No.
That's the biggest flaw.
Yeah.
And you have to treat it like a business.
Where's the logic? Where's the research? Where's the intelligence? Right. No, it's Frank, lives 10 towns over, and Betty Lou's cousin did a deal with him 10 years ago and thinks he's cute.
Yeah.
Let's get him over.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Good thinking.
Yes, indeed. So the message is, for sure, make sure you educate yourself and make those wise decisions. So this series really helps us all understand the value of our podcast, I will say. We're talking about this, and the reason we do this really is to educate and inform you, and we hope that the podcasts have been, they sound like they've been educational and valuable because they're getting more and more downloads. Our audience of international downloaders match the top 3 that the National Association of Realtors report on buyers and coming to the United States did. These are the things we like to see. These stats, you guys, what I feel good about here and really makes me feel proud as a group and as a team is that, we're providing people, obviously, with information that's valuable to them, not only in the United States, but it's
around the world.
To see that it's around the world.
How cool is that?
And it's good to see that at least from time to time we maybe have our finger on the pulse, if you will.
More often than not, I would say.
And you know what I like? I like the little guys. I like, of course, United Arab Emirates is not a little guy, but. Not just the top 3, but we've got some others. I mean, they're downloading us in Vietnam, in Switzerland, cool. Germany, Japan. I mean, I love it. That's amazing. And, of course, United Arab Emirates, these people want to know. They want to know what makes the U.S. tick.
They're in our top 10 downloads, all of those. Amazing. Totally amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we really want to thank everybody in our global audience that does all these downloads and a couple of others that I just had to mention because this is how far the reach is. How about Zambia, Nepal, and Senegal?
That's great.
That's so cool.
Isn't
and we
cool?
owe it all to Ms. Rania.
Thank you, Ms. Rania, for pulling all this data together.
Do we have some background music or clapping?
That's right.
Well, we can do the clapping. Come on, guys. We can do the clapping.
That's true.
Thank you, Rania. And thank you to all those offshore clients that pay attention to our downloads on all of our podcasts.
But we have
a bunch.
In the
US.
US.
We got a bunch right here. So California, of course, is our biggest download because this is our base and we talk so much about it. But Georgia is next.
Interesting. Yeah.
I probably have a little I can't explain why that would be. I don't have enough relatives in Georgia to
bounce it up.
Do you guys have relatives in Georgia that are building that impact?
No, the only tie to Georgia would be that in my previous life I worked for Delta Airlines. That is absolutely the only tie to Georgia. So maybe there's people.
Maybe the old Delta gang.
Yeah, maybe the old
Say,
Delta
hey,
gang.
what's Joe up to these days?
I think Georgia is one of those places though that on a investment properties. That's one of the attractive areas, I think. So
they've got some great
lot of people that listen to are interested in investing outside of California.
Yeah,
right.
So that's good.
You've got some great universities, rah-rah universities, and the kids are going. If you look at the offshore parents, they want to buy them that property, and they're very affordable.
Yeah. So next,
they're just trying to learn who they are.
Yeah. So next on the list, I get this one, Washington State.
Yeah.
Well, we had our Sotheby's brothers and sisters on from up there in Seattle, and they call it the Silicon Forest. So we have a tie-in with that part of the world because of the West Coast interest in high tech. Then let me just give you some of the others in the top 10. Texas, I get that a little bit.
Yep.
New York, I get that a little bit. Another high tech tie-in. But Illinois, Virginia, Atlanta and Georgia. I'm sorry, that's kind of a double hookup. And Philadelphia, Chicago. So we've got a ton of outreach here, and people coming from all over the United States and all over the world to check out the kind of information we're trying to share and the education and the value we're trying to give out here.
Here's how I see that. We're very non-discriminating. Matter of fact, everybody in every state and every country loves our podcast.
There you go.
Right?
It's the fact that they're dying to find out what you two are going to get in trouble on.
And we don't offend people, do we?
No.
I think Bobby had those shows we did erase, Joe, that just you and I were set free and having too much fun.
You know what? We tell it like it is without using a 2x4.
No, that's true.
You know, get yourself educated. Don't use somebody who sells a house every other year. You know, it's just too important and it's costly.
Yeah, no, it is. So in general, this is great. It really is. We have a lot of fun, and we hope that we'll continue the growth and the education. Again, I'll say it. One of the things, you know, I love radio. It's fun. The live part's fun, but you only have so much reach, and that's what's great about the extension of podcasting.
It totally is. Yeah.
I mean, and you can see that's you know, a great vehicle to get the message out and continue to get it out. So it's exciting, and I would just like you guys said, I have to thank everybody for really, you know, obviously the appreciation they have for the shows. What they're sharing with family and friends. I had one guy I told you called yesterday or the day before and talked about how he wanted to share it because he saw so much value in it or heard. So it's good to see. It really is.
That's powerful. I mean, it just things like, you know, making available Mike Cobb's report on moving offshore. How valuable could that be to anybody that's thinking about it? And so, you know, guys, you can track us down, and we'd be happy to get a copy of that for you. I mean, that's kind of critical stuff that not everybody else is making available to the planet.
And it's a fabulous guide. And you know what? When we do our next podcast, guys, and we're going over that, because some people just hate to read. I can't imagine it because I love to read. It gets my head into a whole other space. But for those who don't love to read, we'll have a podcast, and we will be going over those 25 so that you can listen to us talk about them. Yes. So what's next? Bobby? Oh, let me see. Mine is all the misconceptions. I always get, all the misconceptions. You need to learn by seeing it, studying it, and then living there for a little bit. Don't just decide that this is the place you've always wanted. Because like Buddy said, if you don't have a lot of patience, you might not be able to put up with the pace.
It's true.
You know, you go to another. They say that's the one thing about the so-called, in quotes, ugly American. They're always rushing everything. They rush dinner, they rush lunch, they rush breakfast, and they rush around the world, whereas the world doesn't go that fast.
No. And so we always talk about, how about a little trip to Belize, folks, to get a little sense of that.
That's right, and we're not rushing anywhere.
No. Actually, 4 days of a tour.
You still have time to book. You still have time to contact us. I can't help you with your coordinating outfits, but Bobby can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just FYI, I could help you with the golf part.
Yeah, Joe can do the golf part.
I don't know what to wear. Call Bobby.
Yeah.
I'll help.
Buddy, what are you helping with?
I'm gonna help with the bar part and the restaurant part.
Good.
I think I can
the
do
food,
that.
Right?
The
menu
food.
choices.
Yeah, all those kind of things we'll come up with, and it's got a jam-packed schedule. You know, you want to go horseback riding, you go to the equestrian center. You want to play golf, Joe will be there the entire time.
And I know we're running a little short now. I mean, we're getting down towards the end, but Nicaragua, a lot of people do not know this. I didn't know it until Mike brought it up. It's the second best surf break in all of Central America.
Look at that, you surfers.
On Mike's property there. Yeah. 3 miles of beach. Oh, baby.
Yeah, so you've got the Panama property that he's got, goes up the side of a hill, giving almost these sweeping ocean views to almost all of the villas. So you go and you see and you touch and you feel and you ask questions, then you make your decision about your investment.
It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So, folks, get a hold of us on the guide. You can call me at 650-533-8790, or you can email me at gwsaupe@imandsa.com, and we'd be happy to get you the brochure. And if you're interested in our October 12th through 16th tour on Ambergris Key in Belize. Give me a shout. It's going to be a small group, so not a bunch of us can go. And we've got Joe and Bobby and I and Dan already signed up. So let us know if that's of interest to you.
Yes, indeed. It'll be a lot of fun. And also, there's a lot of information here, I realize, but you could always go to reradiolive.com. You could reach any of us that way. If there's any questions about anything, the trip, maybe you need some advice. Again, I'll lastly say before we sign off, you guys, the market is crazy. And specifically, I'm talking about the Bay Area in which we work. Low inventory. Please be sure that when you make a decision to sell your home or you're getting ready to buy a home, make sure you're working with the person that is going to give you the best chance to succeed. Bobby, I'm seeing real quickly a lot of people missing out on offers, and I'm not saying it's always the case, but I always wonder why some real estate agents, for the most part, nothing's perfect, that get their offer accepted more than others.
Because they're prepared. They come in with what the listing agent has asked them to come in with. They've signed off on all their disclosures. They've got everything together. They've done their homework. Right. And they have integrity. After you're in the business 30 years, 20 years, whatever, even a short time, your reputation gets around. Yeah. It really does.
Good point. All right, with that, if you need any more information, always go to reradiolive.com. Thank you again for everything, the downloads, the continued growth, those in the U.S. and our partners and friends overseas and all over the world.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zambia.
All right.
That's right.
Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.